we just started just doing marketing for clients, and it was social media first. Then it went into graphic design, then it went into video, and then it went into ad placement, and it went into all these beautiful things. Then a little bit down the line, we partnered up on it. I was doing the festivals, I was doing the concerts, I was doing shows, but it's like, you know, how do you progress this now to something else, something that's going to be the rest of my life? Like I said, I was in school for marketing, so I got this offer, and I went to my professor and I said, listen, I got a marketing position with a very big company. He's like, you're in school to go get that position. If you have that position, leave school.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another week of What Would It Cost? And today, as every week, I'm very pumped up and excited, I like to say. But today I got a very special guest who's an awesome friend of mine who I stood by his side on his wedding. I made hundreds of thousands, probably millions of dollars with, well, over hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars with. I've had the pleasure of calling partner on multiple venues and projects that made a lot of noise, and maybe some of you even attended and enjoyed the experience through it. Without further ado, Mass Grisafi. So, Mr. Massimo Grisafi,
how are you, good sir?
Hit me with it, brother. Hit me with it.
I'm so excited to be here.
Absolutely.
This is a lot of fun, man. I'm pumped.
Me too. It's been a long time in the making.
I know.
And there's lots and lots and lots to talk about. Yeah. Where to start, where to finish. I haven't even put anything together. I want it to be like a really...
You guys tell me. I have no idea what we're talking about today. This is going to be fun.
And usually we do.
I know
usually
you do.
It's in everyone's...
it's very,
I wanted it
But he told me
totally
that he wanted
freestyle.
it to be super just chill and relax. And
Yeah.
we've been friends for so many years. And I think it's... we really have crazy conversations and a crazy life. So it should be fun.
Absolutely. And what I do want to start off with, though, right, is complimenting you on how you continue to elevate and how you continue to up your game in the hospitality industry, right? Where you started, where you are now, and how much of an impact that you've made on not only the businesses that you work for, but the people that you work with, right? And how you're really able to just like make something of nothing, right? Or come up with a creative concept and idea, and then, you know, breathe it into existence and have hundreds of thousands of people, you know, either work for the event or brand or venue, or experience it as a client, or just, you know, involve themselves with it. And I really see you as a visionary, right? And not only someone who's able to take it from 0 to 1, but then 1 to 2 as well, and integrating, you know, operational ideas to bring these visions into existence, right? Yeah. So I know that's very loaded in general,
it's
right?
It's a good question.
But
very good question.
Take us for a journey, right?
Yeah, I'll bring
if
you
may,
from the start and how it like progressed.
Yeah.
But before we do anything, I wanted to say something because I think that you know, I've been friends with you for what, 15 years now, maybe longer.
Yeah,
I've seen you through everything.
At least, yes.
I've seen you through everything, and I know I've told you offline, but I want to tell you online now how proud I am of you. Like, I think what you've created here and what you continue to do, both as a businessman, family man, everything along the lines, I want it on record. I am so proud of you, Nick.
Thank you, bro.
And I really am. Like, it's so amazing to watch you move and shake and do everything that you do, and how focused and, as you know, the classic Regina line, dialed in is. it's incredible. So I wanted to start that off because you know, I know you do a lot of these podcasts. The main reason you do these podcasts is to put people on a platform.
Yeah.
And I know it helps you guys in a sense when you're on a platform, but I want to put Nick Regina on the platform here on what you do. And that's the most important thing for me because I think it's amazing.
Thank you, bro. Appreciate that.
I want to start off with
Means
that.
the world to me. Yeah.
You know, listen, you know, I started similar beginnings like you. Know, I started off as a promoter, was doing a lot of you know, all ages back in the day. I was working with a company, and then, you know, it kind of progressed into me launching a 19 plus side. And when I launched the 19 plus side, I was always about the business. It was about having fun and partying, but I was more about business side and going into venues and growing them and making them work.
Yeah.
And I always took, in the beginning of my career, you know, clubs that were beat down and not where I needed to be. Like if you remember Boudreaux We used to party back in the day.
Oh, you made that the shit, bro.
Like,
Everybody
you know,
loved Budo.
It was like old school days.
Yeah.
I remember there was
my favorite
hole.
club of all time.
It was.
Of all time.
You had the same table upstairs in the corner.
Yeah.
On the other side of that table, there was a hole that went from the patio through the middle ground to all the way to the bottom. That's how bad the place was. Like, it was falling apart. So I took this venue and we went there, and I still remember. I was working with Ralph Matty at the time, and he's like, yeah, and he took me on a tour of all the clubs, and I was 18 years old, and he's showing me every place, and went into Lot, went into all these places to tour them, and it was my first time seeing them. And we go into this place, Budo, and I'm like, oh my God, this place is terrible. Can I swear on this?
Yeah.
Okay, the place was shit. Like, it was terrible.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh my God, bro, like, who's doing this? This place sucks. Like, there's no one here. And he goes, this is my party. I'm like, Ralph, can I have it? Like, give it to me, please. Give it to me on Saturdays. He's like, no, you can't. Like, they want older clientele. I'm like, there's nobody in here. Just give me the place. Like, give it to me on Saturdays. So he's like, fine, you have 1 week. So I went to 1 week, and I remember I was like, Jesus Christ, I was so nervous. I didn't know what to do. Because I was always doing one-off events for all ages. Like, we were doing like Lucid, and we were doing these big events. But to translate that into a weekly, you know this, it's way different and more difficult. So I called a bunch of people. One of them was Mr. Nick Regina. And Nick Regina rolled up with a nice little party bus. And I remember we launched it, and it was like 11 o'clock, and there was nobody in line.
This was the first night of Budo?
The first Budo
wow.
with us coming on board.
Wow, okay. Yeah.
So it was opening night. We're like, oh my God, and I was sweating. I was there at 10 o'clock, I remember, in a nice little suit, looking all good. I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, I'm going to be this guy, and I still wasn't even 19 yet.
Yeah.
Sorry, Budo, but I wasn't even 19. I was like 18, turning 19. And nobody in line, and I'm sweating. And you know the feeling, like that guts feeling, like, is this going to be okay? Is this going to work out?
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, just all of my friends started calling me. Yo, I got something for you. I'm coming. I got this, I got that. You were one of them. And just all these school buses came in. And nobody was really using school buses at the time.
Okay.
And all these school buses just started rolling in and took over all of Peter Street. And everybody just rolled out all at the same time. And the line went all the way down and all the way into Lot 332.
Wow.
And we slammed the club.
No, it wrapped around.
It wrapped all the way around. And it was insane. And I remember...
For anyone watching, that's a big wraparound.
Yeah, it's a big wraparound.
Yeah.
So it was crazy. And
wow.
It was something else. And a lot of my friends, including yourself, really came in and helped out that night, and that was the birth of like what I did.
And you had Vaughn on Smash, right?
Yeah,
so that's why there was like a lot of buses all the time, because it was like the commute where everyone would hop on the bus, split the fare, right? And
$15 gets you there, back.
Yeah.
You get on a bus, everybody has meet up.
Yeah.
So it just worked out really well, and it was
sick.
It was insane, and that was kind of the birth of like what I did, and then
and just to go right back, so a little comment on his all ages experience. He breezes by it, but I remember his hustle, the company that he worked for and with, right? Became partner with at the end. He put on the map in a big way and competed with the biggest all ages company out there. I remember being in a 4D party and you in there. I'll never forget this day. This is the first time I met Mass in person, but we hadn't known each other or of each other, and you were in there. You're like, yo, you want to come to a real fucking
Sorry.
and he slips me this flyer. He's like, bro, hit me up. I got you, right? And I was just like, all right, bro. But I remember, and then I'd look, and you were just in there, just like trying to keep it on the low.
Yeah.
Because you couldn't do that. You couldn't go to another guy's party and fly, right? Trying to keep it on the low, but then at the same time, you were going hard on like pushing, right? Like that was like the type of work ethic a real promoter starting from the bottom had. Like really you were in there passing out the flyer in someone else's club, different territory. They could have got you. There was a lot on the line to just pull a skinny bit of the people on the gets list, right? So like, I know he breezed by that, but that really was a hustle of Masses that, carried on obviously into the 19 plus scene, but
it's just,
you made a big name for yourself there. Right? Like, you did.
It was the most
did.
important thing, right? So it's like, as that like sort of progressed, and it goes into the next part of my journey. Is like, we went into the nightlife side. I was a promoter, and we were doing really well. Like, we were top promoter for many years, and I looked at it and I'm like, what am I going to translate this to now? Like, this is...
And through that time, right, like there was, including myself, there was so many people that looked up to you. And not only because you were doing numbers. But the one thing you did different from everybody else was you had the biggest numbers, but it was quality.
Yeah.
Like your people were buying bottles. Yeah. Your people were paying cover. Your people were coming dressed properly. Yeah. Like you had a really fashionable, cool crowd that everyone else wanted to be around, right? So if you were working in a club with Lime, you were blessed because your crowd wanted to, or another promoter's crowd wanted to be with that crowd. So whatever venue you were at, every other promoter wanted to work at, right?
Yeah.
Like, and that was a known thing. Like, oh, Lime's there. First of all, you know it's going to be lit. Second of all, everyone wants to work at that venue now.
It's crazy how it like translated through different generations of like promoters. Like, you know, it started off with like the Peaks, Gianluca Lamarca era. Then it went into like, you know, that next era and that next era and that next era, you know, then it kind of just had like a nice progression that kind of went things in play. But like what was crazy about it is like, you know, like I was doing the festivals, I was doing the concerts, I was doing shows, like we did the Liberty Grands, did a lot of different stuff, but it's like, you know, how do you progress this now to something else, something that's going to be the rest of my life?
Yeah.
And I remember thinking that, I'm like, I don't know what to do. And I went to school for marketing. I had a police foundations diploma that I went that was completely useless for me. But I went back to school at Humber for marketing. And I remember I was in the class and I was thinking about like where I was going to work, and I had a conversation with Warren Bristow. Remember Warren? Mm-hmm. Absolute legend, guy that I look up to. Probably one of the best operators in Toronto history.
Yeah.
Long shot. I was having a conversation.
Never had the pleasure of working with him, but you've told me nothing but amazing things. Yeah. Hey guys, thank you for tuning into this episode. If you're liking it so far, make sure to subscribe, like it, and keep following along.
There's different shapes through my career that got me where it was. Ralph Matty was more of the schmoozer guy, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
The guy who would walk in a room. Ralph taught me how to interact with people and how to be personable. Ralph taught me how to walk in a room from 17 years old all the way up to 25, 26.
Okay.
The way I talked, the way I spoke to people, the way I acted was like Ralph.
Okay.
And then now you have this next gentleman, which is Charles Caboth, who's this very business-minded, serious guy, gets to the point. He said that to me, and I looked at him, and I was like, okay, I want the 10. He goes, okay, let's see what you can do. Needless to say, I did well. You know, I did really well. I was there there for 3 years. We launched a lot of venues. There was a lot of progression, a lot of things going well over there, and it was a great thing that was happening. And I was really young, making great money. And I remember, like I said, I was in school for marketing, so I got this offer, and I went to my professor and I said, "Listen, I got a marketing position with a very big company." He's like, "You're in school to go get that position. If you have that position, leave school."
Oh wow!
The professor told me that, so I left. Went to go work with Inc. And, you know, we did a lot of great things there, and it was a really great opportunity for me. But I left there because...
And, okay, so pause.
Yeah.
I didn't know of Inc. I got in the industry at that time. I idolized you.
Yeah.
I didn't know of Inc. until Mass.
Appreciate that.
A lot of people didn't know of Inc. until Mass. Not saying Inc. wasn't doing big things and it wasn't out there.
Yeah.
However, again, you had the mainstream market and you had the power of the people and everyone looking up onto you. So everyone became more intrigued in regards to Inc.'s portfolio and its structure because you brought awareness to that.
Yeah,
right?
We made a lot of big moves that time too. Like I think we opened 4 or 5 nightclubs during that time, 4 or 5 restaurants.
Even the events, right? Like they were like the events that you did and the international talent that you brought in. And I know Inc. was doing talent outside of you anyway, but you made it again. It was like the Monster Mash. You know what I'm saying?
Like commercialized it a little bit more.
Big time.
Yeah.
Give yourself that credit, please.
Appreciate that.
Yeah.
And listen, it was a great opportunity with that. But the thing was, when I was there, it's like, number one, I was very young. And you got to remember that when you're very young, making a lot of money, doing a lot of things, it's difficult. And I needed to know, number one, mature. Mm-hmm. Number two, it's a great place there, but it's different. You're on an island over there, right? It's an island. They're very to themselves. They do their own thing. And I just didn't see myself progressing more based on what I was doing. I launched the festivals. I was involved in the concerts. I was involved in everything. So I kind of left that, and that segues to where we were at.
Right.
When I left that, I said to myself, I love marketing. I still like doing what I'm doing. how could we progress this? But I still wanted to remain a little bit in the club scene, but not entirely. And that's when I started partnering with Live Nation.
Okay.
So I partnered with Live Nation, and I started doing a lot of big shows with Live Nation. We did several very, very, very big ones that did very successful. You know, a lot of the Liberty Grands were with Live Nation. A lot of concerts we did. We did Disclosure. We did Zed. These were 10,000, 20,000 person parties. And then Live Nation partnered with Inc. So,
Right.
and because the marriage between me and Inc. wasn't a very happy ending, Live Nation had to go more with Inc. because that was a top-end partnership that happened, and then I went in with Embrace. So I started doing shows with Embrace, and we did some great shows with Embrace that were very, very big ones, very, very successful ones. And I said to myself, okay, this is great, but again, you're getting in that position where it's still, you know this, Nick, it's risky. This is risky business. It's you're constantly grinding. It's can't really have a family. You can't really progress. It's tough.
Yeah.
It's tough when you're doing that on a daily grind. So, you know, my partner Joe Ghost was amazing DJ, traveling the world, doing what he was doing. He was in a similar position where he wanted to shift and do things on the side as a secondary thing on top of the producing, on top of the DJ, because he was doing well with that. But again, it's difficult to tour 24 hours, 365 days a year. It's tough.
Yeah.
So me and Joe had a conversation. We said, listen, why don't we look at partnering up on a marketing company and really build something where we're doing hospitality for a ton of clients. And that's the birth of Insert Marketing.
Yeah.
You know, we kind of had that conversation, started the company, and we just started just doing marketing for clients. And it was social media first. Then it went into graphic design. Then it went into video. And then it went into ad placement. And it went into all these beautiful things. You know, then a little bit down the line, we partnered up on it. And we had Gabe in there as well. And we were doing amazing stuff. But, it needed to do its growing pains. It needed to do its changes. It needed to do a lot of different things. You went into this amazing opportunity that you're absolutely killing it on, and we support each other and we do what we can with each other still, and it's been great. But for me, when the company went that way, I saw it was too corporate for me, if that makes sense. Like, I was too much just dealing with social media, it's too much dealing with all that stuff. So right after COVID, where COVID was tough, just for everybody. We lost, for us, it was really tough. We lost 70% of our clients in the first day just because they're hospitality, right? Whether they shut down completely during COVID or they had to, minimize their capacities, they couldn't afford marketing.
Yeah.
And I can't hold them to it. So we had to redo a lot of stuff, got rid of our office, rejigged a lot of stuff in order to make it work and still be able to do what we were doing. After that happened, I looked at it and I'm like, you know what, listen, there's still something I'm missing that I love doing, which is getting more deep and involved in the marketing and a lot of with these businesses. And it's similar to what I was doing on the promotion side, but how can I get involved? And that's when I started consulting.
Yeah.
And, there was this venue that was about to open up, and I knew the manager, his name was Costa, and again, right now, because Oren's not really operating anymore, he is the best manager in Canada.
Costa.
He's the
wow,
best
good for him, man.
Yeah. Psychopath on the way that he does.
I guess you got to be, though, in that industry. Yeah.
He's incredible. He's honestly incredible. He's a friend, and he's somebody that I have a lot of respect for. And he came into me, and I was working with him at Maison back then. He said, listen, I have this venue, I want to see it. I want to introduce you to these two guys. And I meet these two guys, and they're two brothers.
Oh, so Costa brought you in.
Costa brought me in.
Oh, very nice.
So he's like, I want to introduce these two guys. There's two Booth brothers. They own this club, and it's going to be the best club in Toronto. And I always heard this, and you know this. We always heard best club in Toronto.
Yeah.
Go tour the space. I'm like, shit, this place is
crazy.
Something else.
Yeah.
Lighting system, sound, production, everything.
Yeah.
Plus you have Costa, who's that like Russian psychopath who's going to make sure like a napkin goes down, that napkin's picked up by one of the busters, and everything's running like a well-oiled machine.
Yeah.
Like he's Ivan Drago from you know what I mean? Like that's who Costa is.
Yeah.
So I said, you know what? I'll get involved. I want to be involved as a consultant, but I have a few rules. Like what? I go, don't expect me here. You're never gonna see me here except during the day. Don't call me after hours, and make sure everything's good. And I'll see what I could do for you guys. So I went in and we did that, and with the help of everybody and what it was, this is the highest grossing nightclub in Canada by a long shot. Nobody touches them. And it's really something amazing with what's happening over there. And I got really close with both the Booth brothers and Booth Hospitality, and they're doing some amazing work. And these guys are like, Nick, like me and you had balls back in the day. These guys got balls like I've never seen anybody have. Nice. Like the book 50 cent for a place that could only do 350 GA and the rest on bottle service with that type of price point and make it work.
Yeah, you got balls. Yeah.
You got balls.
Yeah,
and they come to me like, yeah, okay, like this is how much 50 was. This is the contract. This is the conversation. Make it work. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
So I got to make it work, and I got to start at this high ticket price. Start at these high minimums. Like minimums were like $15,000, $20,000. This is unheard of in Toronto.
Yeah.
You know this.
Yeah.
Like most places are $1,000 minimums. Like this is insane. That venue, like that's sold out and made substantial amount of money.
Wow.
So when you get
good for them, man. They just get it. Guys, that's awesome. They just get it. Like, that's so refreshing, bro.
Yeah, and
good for them.
Their story too on why they opened this club was beautiful too. Like they opened this club up because these guys, they're well off. They do well for themselves.
Yeah.
These guys are private jet guys. Go travel the world, do what they need to do.
Cool.
They were going everywhere, and they were just always when they would come to Toronto, they're like, this place sucks. There wasn't anything. Like all the clubs that were there, they're like, this place sucks. It's kind of annoying for me because I was involved in it. But they were saying like all the clubs, they just don't do it right. Like they don't have that Miami white glove.
Yeah.
They don't have the New York white glove. They don't do anything right. So they wanted to open something up. So they opened this club for that pretense.
Right.
As a place for that. So their level of commitment and dedication to this venue, never seen it before in my life. Ever. Like they are so militant.
Yeah.
It's great. They're on me. They're on Costa, and that's why I say Costa's a psychopath. They're a psychopath. I'm a psychopath. So it's just a combination of like a bunch of guys who are like so meticulous to detail. That is why the venue is the way it is.
Wow.
So they were my first consulting client, and I started doing the consulting on top of the marketing. Then I met up with two other brothers, believe it or not, which was the Doctor's House and Chop House guys. This is Ben and Mark Gassi, and they have this amazing banquet hall that's 6 venues and this steakhouse that's really super high-end and nice. And they were just coming off of COVID, which COVID was terrible. And they were already an instant marketing client in terms of just social media and graphic design and video. But they're like, we need something more. Can you assist us? I said, what do you need? Well, our sales are this. They have to be this. Can you help us make that happen? So I went in there and I said, okay, cool. I had a conversation with Joy. I said, this isn't a conflict. Like, we're good. Yeah, do your thing, blah, blah. And I started meeting with them and talking to them, and we started looking at what can we do to make this better. And this was a new business for me, right? Because nightlife, I know. Restaurants, I know. And there was only one part of it was a restaurant. You had this banquet hall that was doing 1, and it needed to be at 2 or 3. So how do you grow that?
Yeah.
So we went in there and I started looking, and I said, okay, their SWOT analysis, looking at who their competitors were, realized that there was a little bit of a price discrepancy that we needed to adjust in terms of where that needed to be, just to be competitive one-to-one, right? Like if you're selling Kit Kat here and Kit Kat there, you need to be in line with each other, or explain why you're not. So we got that adjusted. Then we went in and we started all these cool marketing campaigns and all these guerrilla campaigns, and I said, okay, cool, this still isn't enough. So I came up with this idea where I wanted to do a dinner escape room series. And everyone's like, this has never really been done, but I saw a lot of it. New York does a really cool one where they do this one where you go and it's this whole dinner thing. And I remember going to it back in the day with one of my DJ friends. And I said, okay, well, who's the company that does it? And it was the Secret City. Secret City does the best escape rooms, in my opinion, in Canada. They do Casa Loma, they do Black Creek, they do so many big events. So I'm like, I got to get a hold of these guys because I want to pitch them on this project in Vaughan, which they're only Toronto-based, to do this dinner escape room series and have them curate, develop it, and we work together for it. So I'm spamming the emails, no one getting responses. And then I ended up contacting Stacy from Liberty Group, who's a friend, and we were doing some work with Liberty Group. And I said, listen, you need to get me in contact with these people. Please do an intro. So she was hesitant because cross marketing and they were doing Casa Loma, right?
Right.
But she connected me, and I contacted them, and sure enough, back and forth and figuring out and all of that, we created this escape room series that I don't want to give up too much about it, but it's happening right now, and it's sold out every.
No way.
Yeah, it's sold out every day.
Nice.
And
it's an everyday thing.
It's Thursday, Fridays, and Saturdays. It ends on the 30th, December 30th.
Oh, you ran it.
It's happening right now. Like there's one, what's today?
Tonight.
Friday? There was one yesterday. Yesterday did 98 people. There's 110 seatings, so it was almost sold out. Today, there's 2 seatings, both sold out. Saturday, 2 seatings, both sold out.
No way.
Yeah, so it crushed. So these guys, I contacted people,
Nice.
talked to them,
Good.
told them the venue, had to like, maneuver, like
Yeah, yeah.
and sell them on developing this different thing. And then I brought it to the Doctor's House guys, and I said, listen, this is why it makes sense. We're not going to lock in a wedding this close to what it is.
Yeah.
You guys are a higher price point because they're a premium venue. So we only want the best and the creme of the creme weddings. We don't want to do like lower end weddings. So we're in December. This is slow season. Let's give them one of the venues and build this concept where you're getting invited to a wedding and then something happens at the wedding and through a series of puzzles, you need to solve it. So they looked at me like I was fucking crazy. What the fuck are you talking about? We're not doing an escape room here.
Yeah.
I said, guys, just trust me. This is the way it's going to work. This is where we're going to make money. We're partners on it, all of that. I broke it all down. And we launched it. And listen, I had nothing to do in terms of operating it. That was all Secret City to their credit. But it's incredible. And it's different and cool, and it's doing really, really well. And it's making money.
Sure.
And it's not only is it making money.
So people are having dinner, they're drinking, they're engaging in the game.
Doing puzzles, doing this, trying to solve it.
Right.
But the beauty part about it is it got more people through the doors of the Doctor's House.
Sure.
It got more people into the doors of Chopos. And it created more engagement and visibility to the space, which then translated to a direct rise in wedding bookings.
Oh, nice.
Because people are seeing the venue more.
Yeah,
So
sure.
So just in the month of November, we saw it doubled from the last 10 years.
Oh, nice.
So it's showing a translation between the two. Like sometimes marketing isn't just straight ROI and I'm going to do this and it's going to make me this.
Yeah.
You know this. You did an amazing
Yeah,
job
it's
with
not
Spark
direct
Market.
ROI.
If you'll do something because you're just getting more visibility, then it will translate to sales.
Correct.
This was a direct example of it.
Right.
So for me, what was so interesting about this was that this was a new industry that I wasn't really familiar with, but I was able to translate and make it make sense with what we're doing.
Make it work. Yeah. Visionaire.
Yeah, appreciate that. But it was something crazy, and everyone thought I was nuts, and it was nuts, but
it worked.
It was crushing, and it worked. And now we're talking about, okay, when's the next one? When's this one? When's that one? And now there's a lot of talks of, I can't say what it is, but it's with a big online streaming platform that we're potentially building an actual escape room around. I'm signing an NDA, so I can't say anything, but it's that's going to be a direct partnership and looking at that as our next step for our next escape room series.
Cool.
It's cool, man. It's different. It's just like I said, think outside the box, right?
Yeah.
And then, even for them next year, I want to do, they're located in Kleinburg. They got this like huge, massive outdoor space that's gorgeous. So I'm actually talking with a few mutual friends, Naveen and Andrew. We might be building an outdoor winter experience.
Okay, yeah, you were telling me about that. Yeah, that'd be dope.
That's probably going to happen next year. We want to pause this year because we just had too much going on.
Yeah.
But next year, it's going full tilt. And
nice. Sick.
Yeah, it's going to be like immersion and like really cool different stuff. So like the point I'm bringing up is like I have my marketing company and we're doing great work and we're really finding solutions for people. We're doing amazing for it. But I have it at a point where it's just working really, really well. Spark and Insert, we work with each other on a few things. And you see, it kind of works with each other really well. I don't have to tap in too much.
Yeah.
So because I have a great team that's able to do that and, good clients and everything along those lines, I'm able to go do this other stuff where I think outside the box and build these immersions and crazy things.
It's cool.
It allows me to be a little bit more fun. So I have consulting, I have 44, I have them. And then I got this crazy, crazy project that got kind of brought to me that I thought was completely ridiculous, which was this massive venue in Bahamas.
Yeah.
And I told you about this, but
I
won't tell everybody about it. It was this massive space in Bahamas that it's a legendary space. It's like the ninth, remember that Studio 54 back in the day?
Yeah.
It's the Studio 54 of Bahamas.
Oh, okay, wow.
So if you ask somebody about this place, it's called Club Waterloo. If you're old school or maybe our dads,
they know what's up.
They know it's
okay, sick.
So it was this gentleman who used to be as a bartender over there. He met his wife there, progressed, and he hit it big. He opened up a massive online gaming business, killed it, did really well with it, and then he went back and bought that space, did a reno, opened it back as Club Waterloo. but he doesn't have a lot of operating experience. So he came and he's like, I need a new operator. So through a mutual friend, I got introduced to this guy. He's like, yeah, fly down. I want you to see the space. I'm not an operator. I'm just marketing. So I did a little bit of, joint ventures with a few of my other clients to bring them on board with it, where they do the operation, I do the marketing. And we went to go see this space. And now we're about to reopen this space. And the front spot is going to be a restaurant, where it's a full-out front-facing restaurant. It's going to be open 5 days a week.
Yeah.
I brought in Drake's personal chef to curate the menu, and it's going to be a Bohemian Italian fusion, which has never been done before.
Savage, eh?
Yeah, it's a Bohemian Italian fusion. It's very different. So it's like a stuffed tortellini oxtail, like a jerk chicken gnocchi, like just different cool stuff. Like they really like Kronk there. I think I'm saying that right, but Kronk, they were doing like a Kronk pizza. Very different stuff. So like that's going to be the restaurant. It's going to run its own identity. Then we have this massive pool area. We're going to run pool parties out of there. We're going to run a brunch out of there. We're going to add some really cool stuff in there. Then on the right side, there's a nightclub. I'm going to operate that as a nightclub 2 days a week. And in the back, I have an event space. But what's crazy about this whole endeavor is my entire career has led me to this space. Because if you think about it, I've done the nightclubs. I have the nightclub. I've done the restaurants, which I've launched. I can't even count how many restaurants I've been involved in. I have that restaurant in the front. The pool bar, okay, I was involved in Cabana, but whatever. It's pools. It's like a club. Yeah. But then you have that event space in the back that could hold 3,000 people. I could do weddings, engagements, concerts, everything along those lines. Everything's kind of led to this one space. So like,
wow. Cool,
it's exciting, man. So like I'm flying back and forth. We're doing our thing there. And it's a really, really like cool and unique project. I'm hoping it's going to do well. I think it will. We have a really good team.
Nice.
We hired this gentleman named Paul, who's going to be director of operations over there. He used to work with MLSE, so he knows his stuff, and he's great. And he's there right now. He's coming back for the holidays, but he's there right now. So it's going to be a unique project. So it's kind of like this roller coaster of just doing my thing.
Nice.
But, the biggest thing for me, and, Nick, me and you have had so many countless conversations. Like, we could do all this stuff and we could do everything. Like, you're exactly very similar to me in the sense of, like, everybody's asking us to do crazy stuff and everything along those lines. But it's always going to go back to that principle where you want to just be who you are, what your values are, and be there for your family and do everything along those lines.
Sure,
That's the biggest thing for me.
Yeah.
So when I went to the Bahamas last time, I did my tour. I brought my wife and my kid.
Nice.
There for 10 days.
Yeah.
Because my kid was like, running on the way.
Yeah.
That's what I want. I want to do what I love, while still not interrupting what we're doing.
Your family life,
Yeah. Work every single week, but still take my kid to Little Kickers.
Love it.
It's a little plug for Little Kickers, so give me a discount. But it's Little Kickers every Saturday, or taking them to hockey, or doing these things. Those things are so important to me.
Yeah.
It's about finding those middle grounds.
Absolutely. Yeah. Very cool. And so that crazy. I didn't know half the stuff. I knew all your projects. I did because we stay in touch and we talk. But like I didn't know half of the story. So it was very cool.
In the background,
so many moving parts. Yeah, background to the public, but pretty front row to the operation, right? So talk more about what it would take for one to retain Mr. Grisafi and have him on board as a consultant. Obviously, what does that look like, not only price-wise, but what industries do you stick to, right? Yeah. What kind of contract is it, like a yearly thing? Is it a monthly thing? Is it equity? Is it top line gross? Is it a fee? Is it hourly? How do you charge for your services? Because it's such a unique niche that not too many people know about. And your creative brilliance, and then your way that you know how to promote and keep it tasteful and add in layers of entertainment, all across the board. But then have it be directly correlated to revenues. Is sexy for any business owner to be like, whoa, I like that. Because usually people will come on board, whether you want to call them consultants or not, right? And they'll tackle one piece or they'll hit it from one angle. But really, you're coming and you're knocking it from all angles, and you're like, whoa, there's, and again, not maybe a direct ROI on that, but there's an ROI on that when it comes to big picture, right? Through bookings of the weddings or attendance moving up, or even potentially right then and there when you're ramming a room and their booze sales are there and they're turning tables and selling a lot of food. So what does it cost?
So, that's a great question. Like I said, every client's different. The best way to explain that, it depends how much, I look at it as how much time this is going to take me. And in order for me to go into a project, there's two major factors that I look at. Number one, do I believe in the project? That's the biggest thing. If I don't believe in the project, I won't touch it.
Yeah.
Because then if I don't have a passion for it, I'm not going to do it.
Right.
And number two is, do I have the time?
Yeah.
And that's the biggest thing, is do I have the time and how much time they need me?
Yeah.
So every client's different in terms of my pricing module, and it changes based on what it is.
Got it.
Somebody like a 44, which is, again, now it's very front heavy, but now it's more chilled out a little bit because I have it running like a machine now on my end.
Sure.
Where there's a lot of automations that's happening. There's a lot of things that are happening. There's weekly reports that are being generated. I have it running a little bit better, where now I'm just more managing and adjusting where I need to.
Fine tuning. Yeah, beautiful,
right? Like,
beautiful.
It's a machine
Good
that
for
we've all
you.
built together. I can't take credit for it.
Good for you. Yeah.
So that's going to charge a little bit less against Bahamas project.
Like, because you have your startup costs.
Yeah, so like 44 is an ongoing thing. Like, I'm not going anywhere from 44 unless they want to get rid of me for the next however long.
Yeah.
Because it works with my lifestyle, it works with what I'm doing, and it's working for them. So at the end of the day, it's a happy marriage. We're good. So I'll be at 44 for the next 10 years. I have another 2-year contract with them. I'm not going anywhere.
Right.
So that project, it'll charge a little bit less, but it's still a substantial amount on where I'm going to get with it, right? And that's a weekly salary that I get, paid bi-weekly, and call it a day as a contractor consultant that works with them. A project like Bahamas, very much more. And I'm going to charge a lot more for that because there's a lot more front-facing things. And I don't want to be there for that project forever.
Yeah.
I need to set everything up. I need to set up on the consulting side all of these campaigns that I have in place, training somebody who's going to be there, who's going to maintain them, be in these weekly meetings, be front-loaded, hire that chef, hire the operating team, get that in line, get their nightlife program in line, build these programs, and then in 6 months, I'm gone, hopefully. If it's got to extend, it's got to extend. So
that's more like you have a development charge,
exactly,
and then you have a program maintenance charge,
so
and they can't be paying the premium development dollars once the operation is well on its way.
Exactly.
The revenues are there. It goes into program maintenance. You're there to oversee to continue to keep it on track, but there's a lot less in fees that they would pay.
Exactly.
Got it.
So, and like I said, every client's different. Like some clients would be paying X amount, the other one's paying X amount. It all depends on what I'm doing and how much I'm getting involved. I don't do any revenue streams, rev shares. I don't do any equities. I don't want to do that. And the reason I don't want to do that is I want a salary. You pay me, I do my job, and we call it a day.
Yeah.
And, this goes to the last point of what I look for in clients is, are they going to understand that this is, when I say it's going to be 6 months, it's going to be 6 months. When I say it's going to be a year, it's going to be a year.
Yeah.
You need to be there for the long term
to
understand what it was. Doctor's House is an example, and Chop House, you're not going to see immediate return with that. You're dealing with their high price point in terms of where they're at with weddings because they're a high-end venue.
Yeah.
They're in that 1%. Their competitors are like Arlington and Chateau Park. These are like high-end halls.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, these aren't quick purchases that people are going to make. What I'm going to do 6 months ago, it's going to show in 6 months, 8 months, a year before you see that. So you're not going to see a direct ROI. So if I go work with a client and I'm feeling that client is like, I need help now because everything is on fire, I'm not the guy for you. I don't want to work with that because at the end of the day, I don't need that sort of stress or pressure. I don't need that. I need you to understand that, yes, you're at $1 right now. I'll get you to 2. I'll get you to 3. Whatever bar you set for me, I'll build it. But you need to understand that things take time.
And they cost money.
Cost money. That's
So you want to see that these people see the big picture.
Exactly.
They're in it for the long haul, and they have capital to pay your bills.
Straight up.
Right.
And pay the bills that need to happen. Doctor's House has done PR. Doctor's House has done this.
Yeah.
These guys put money into these projects that we've done, and we've seen return and not return and whatever along those lines.
Yeah.
But it's working now.
Yeah.
And it's going to continue to work. And we just had a call today about something else that we're doing. These guys want to invest into the overall project. and I'm involved in those decision makings on what we make.
Nice.
And it's the same thing with the 44 guys. Like these guys have balls.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, like we were looking at doing Travis Scott. Like that was something we were looking at. That's an expensive ticket, but they're willing to do that. So you want to work with people who want to move on.
Sure.
But based on where I'm at in my career. Like,
Yeah.
If you're looking at these, you know, these other guys that are coming in, these younger guys, and, you know, the best advice is like, you know, don't charge a lot, make it work, and prove what you do.
Yeah.
For me, I'm at a point in my career where I've proved it. I've done it.
Yeah.
And I just want to keep doing more projects that challenge what I do.
Yeah.
Like
Got
the club
it.
was like, okay, I'm going into this. I've already done it, but like, I'm going to do it. And it first initially started as just a paycheck.
Yeah.
But now it's progressed into something that I love.
Yeah.
The banquet hall was like, I've never done a banquet hall before.
Yeah.
Let's progress this into the banquet hall now. Then, you know, there's this, I've never done an outside project where I'm on a consultant side. I've done a festival in Mexico, but I've never done an actual project in another country.
Got it.
Let's make it work.
So you have focused majority on hospitality. Like you won't go too far off the beaten path, or you will. It depends. It depends.
But it also depends on what the project is.
Yeah,
man.
got it. Yeah,
Like, if there's
because
an
like you
interesting enough
started it off where you're like, I gotta believe in the project.
I gotta love it, man.
Yeah,
like literally when you're telling me about it, I gotta feel. It's really weird, but I gotta feel that passion you have. And
Yeah.
One of my biggest
I get
strengths
it. Yeah,
is
cool.
one of my biggest strengths isn't marketing. One of my biggest strengths isn't like, you know, all of these things. It's reading people.
Right.
That's why when I tell you when there's somebody that I can't read, they freak me the fuck out. The Booth being one of them.
Yeah.
Peter Gatien back in the day from Circa being another one. Like that guy freaks me out. You can't read him. Like you cannot read the guy, you know?
Yeah.
I end up working with these guys because I want to figure out who the fuck they are. Like Ben from Doctor's House. Love him. I can't read him. He's very like, we'll do a big event, we'll do something or a big thing, we'll see an increase. Okay, good job.
Yeah.
Like, you don't get
yeah.
He's a genius.
Right.
He's good at what he does. All these guys are all in that category of genius. So maybe it's something with the reading. That's why they're good at it. But where I'm going with it is I want to read you. I want to read what you do.
Yeah.
When I talk to Nick Regina about Spark, I feel it in my bones, your passion for this project.
Right.
There's in your bones this passion for this podcast and what you do.
Yeah.
And you do this podcast for everybody else, and it's beautiful, bro.
Yeah.
And that's what I want to feel. Those are the people that I want to fuck with.
Yeah,
I don't want to go and fuck with the guy who's just like, I just want to make money. I want to do my thing and just fucking make it work. Like, no, man. You gotta love what you do.
And you got to be invested with you.
You gotta love what you do, and it's gonna translate to money.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that.
Yeah, for sure. That's awesome, man. Very cool.
And Nick, you know, like, listen, man, it took a lot to get to where I am, and you know, me and you had a lot of similar journeys of like, you know, the struggles of what this industry does to you.
Yeah.
You know, the nightlife scene, it's changed now, but back in the day, bro, it was hard.
Yeah.
In terms of who's your friends, who's not your friends.
Yeah, fuck.
You know, the mental health that comes with that.
Yeah.
The people who screw you over, the guys who go and start companies against you, the guys who are, you know, are kissing, you know, at your house having dinner with your wife, or your, you know, soon-to-be wife, or your girlfriend, so forth at the time, and backstabbing you behind the back.
Yeah.
Like that shit fucked me up. In the same way that it fucked you up.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's why I left the industry for as long as I did. And it's why I'm still on the back of a lot of places where I'm not front-facing.
Yeah.
Because it was tough to translate. And you know this. And it was what you've done with all of this and just your personal thing was amazing to do. So for me, that's where I'm at. It's like I went into my hole from everything the industry did to me. I was in a hole. I was in the worst state of my entire life based on everything that happened to me. And you knew it this time because me and you were working together and you helped pull me out of it. It's around the French Montana time. You remember we did French Montana? Did that show, lost a shit ton of money.
Yeah.
You know, it was really tough, bro.
Yeah.
I was transitioning as a person, as a thing. I was going into a new industry. I was going to all these new things. You know, the biggest thing is your mental health. The biggest thing is enjoying what you do and loving what you do.
Yeah.
And me and you know, you say this every day, and you know, we got to keep working on ourselves. That's the most important thing, you know.
Yeah.
You got guys like, you know, you put me on Zark. I've known Zark obviously from the NRF days, but I did some stuff with Zark, and the guy's turned around.
Yeah, he's good. He's good at what he does, man. Yeah.
And it's not that it's like why didn't I do this? It's like, it's stuff that you got to do, but he reinforces it and builds all these programs and makes it work.
Yeah.
And he makes you a better person. For him, it wasn't about, Mass, I'm going to make you more money, or Mass, I'm going to make you this. I'm going to make you happy.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty much.
And that's what it was so beautiful about art. I'm just going to make you happy. I want you to be happy. Do what you do, but be happy.
Yeah.
So for me, that's where I'm at, bro.
Balance. That's good, man. That's so awesome. That's so nice to hear. Yeah. And I remember all the time, you know, when we'd have our conversations and things were like really, really intense, right?
Yeah.
You'd always place this big value on family, right? And you'd always want, you know, it was tough for I'm not talking about us. I want to keep the focus on you, right? But I'm in the same boat as you, right?
Yeah, please.
And it's like to transition out of that industry, right? And have it be that, you know, you have this fully, you know, new life, this new schedule, a new way of looking at things in perspective, a new ecosystem of friends, reconnecting with family, right? Like, talk to me a little bit about that, right? Like, and how you came alive again, right? Like, it's almost the rebirth of you know, Mass, right? And how tough that was.
One of the biggest things is, you know, I met my wife, and, you know, I knew she was the one, and I you know, I was in love with her, and but the biggest thing she told me, and you know, I tell this story a lot, was like the first time I met my wife, I went to go meet her, and I said, hey, how's it going? I'm Mass, you know, you get in there. You know? And I was like, hey, how's it going? I'm Mass. And she looked at me dead straight in my face. She goes, I know exactly who and we're not going on a date. Swear to God, like, it's literally what she said, word for word. And you gotta remember, Nikki, like, you know, I go, okay, challenge accepted.
Yeah.
You know, and through positioning, you know, bothering her and doing all this stuff. My wife's really short. She's 4'10". I went in her phone. I said, let me see your phone. She's like, oh, you're going to put your number in there? I'm like, no. She's going to give me your phone. I put reminders on her phone to grow. And I put like 15 the next day. How smart I am. And this one I'll take credit for. So I put 15 reminders on her phone to grow the next day. And I met her on a Friday, and she had to work. And I said, did you forget to grow because you're so short? So the next day, she was at work, and she was a dance teacher. She owned the dance studio at the time. And she was teaching, and her phone kept going off. And kept saying, grow. She's like, this motherfucker. So she went and Instagram DM'd me saying, hey, what'd you do to my phone? What the fuck? So I said, oh, I thought you would never hit me up. See? This is when I had kids.
This guy's good. This guy's good.
You know, so she hits me up, and then all of that, then, you know, progression and all of that. And then we went on our first date. And, you know, we sat down and we had like a really in-depth conversation of what I wanted for my life. It's funny, eh? Yeah. I wanted an in-depth conversation of what I wanted for my life. And the biggest thing I wanted for my life was, you know, proper friends that I could trust, proper family that I could have, and the progression into what I wanted to do. And she said to me, she goes, but Mass, like, I'm going to be honest with you, I can never date somebody like you with what you do.
Yeah.
You're constantly around girls. You're constantly around this. You're staying out late. Like, I'm big on all these things. So she kind of sat me down and kind of said, like, you need to make a decision on what you want to do. Because I've been with you, and this is like now we're dating a year and a half in. She's like, I'm getting older. I don't want to waste my time. And I don't want you to waste yours. And I don't want to force you to do something. If you want to keep doing what you're doing, that's great. But I can't have a life with you like this. And she kind of told me it like that, very nicely. And I said, you know what? You're right. I got to get out of this. And, you know, the nightlife scene, Nikki, you know this. It's a drug. It's a drug. The adrenaline you get from doing a big event. The adrenaline you get from everyone saying you're the man, you're this, you're that, you're this, constantly.
Yeah.
And, you know, that sold out party. And Nikki, you remember when we were hugging when we saw Liberty Grand for the first time. We did, 5,000 people, 6,000 people. Like that feeling, you chase it forever. No matter what you do in Spark,
so true.
No matter what I do in consulting, no matter what I do in anything, we're not going to get that. It is what it is. It's a drug.
Yeah.
And I just did a hardcore stop. I said, I'm done. And I got out. And I know you did a similar thing. But I just said, I'm done. I gave it to some kids to run for me. I was taking like $150 a week. And then I translated it to working just on insert marketing. And it was tough because, bro, you're used to one paycheck. Now you're getting another paycheck, and it's just a starting company. How do you make those two work? You're used to getting $2 a fucking week. Now you're getting 50 cents because the company's just starting.
Yeah.
Or just in its building stages. And It was tough, man. It was probably the toughest times of my life.
Yeah.
Because I had to translate on how I acted.
Yeah.
Translating the conversations that I had.
Yeah.
Translating who I was as a person.
Yeah.
Translating everything. Plus, financially get to myself where I needed to be. You know, I couldn't have those conversations.
Yeah.
Nikki, you know there's, and, you know, sorry to Soph and Steph, but, you know, we flirted with girls. It's what we did. It was
Sure.
part of our job.
Sure.
You know?
Yeah.
You can't do that when you're a married man.
Mm-hmm.
You can't do that when you've got a family.
No. People,
You can't.
no.
So you need to change the way you spoke. And for me, that was changing the way that I spoke since I was 16.
Not
16
trying
to 31, bro.
Yeah,
Can
yeah.
you imagine having to change every way that you spoke?
Yeah.
You know, when a girl's saying, like, oh, what are you doing tonight? I don't know. I want to do you. Like, you can't say that shit. Like, you know what I mean? You can't say that stuff. So
Yeah,
I
right.
had to grow up.
Yeah.
I had to grow up, Nick. And it was tough, man.
Yeah.
It was really, really tough.
Yeah.
But I got through it, and I'm at a point where I'm happy. And, you know, I live in Bolton now. I'm fucking far from the downtown core. I miss downtown still, but I got to fucking, you know, my wife's awesome. My kid is everything to me. He is my world.
Yeah.
And I just do what I do, and I do what I love, and I'm on the back, and I'm fucking hitting.
Yeah.
That's why I haven't really bugged you too much about going on this podcast, because I like staying on the back end. But
Yeah.
I love what you do here, and I wanted to, like, you know.
Yeah.
Come have this.
Oh, absolutely. That was awesome. Yeah, and you know what? Again, right? Like, I know it firsthand what you went through, because I went through it as well,
yeah.
right? And we were there. It was very, very close in timing that it happened
dead on,
as well. Right? It was dead on. Yeah.
Dead on.
So what a challenge that was, for sure. So I tip my hat to you, because it's so easy to go down the old path, right?
Yeah.
And what I say to people all the time, and I know it was the same case for you, was we got so good at it, we built such a big name, it became so easy, we could, you know, do whatever we wanted to do in our sleep.
Yeah.
Like, that's how easy it became. But then all of a sudden, right, we had to pump the brakes and then move into something
industry.
totally foreign and new, and start literally from the bottom,
Nothing.
right? So, yeah, like, and then not to say that it didn't come with all the vices that
100%.
one may think is you know, what any man would want, right? Or any, you know, big kid kind of thing. You get to live in this playground that, you know, is surrounded by everything that it's surrounded by. So you're breaking away from that too, right? Like, we had our cake and we ate it too, right? Like, it was like that all the time. So, you know, good on you, right?
But
Good on you
good on you
to
too, bro. Like I
do
said,
what
we
you
had
did,
the
right?
exact same journey. We had the exact same journey if you think about it. Like, you know, what you were doing with energy, you were running shit, bro. Like, you were running shit. You were doing really great stuff. So at the end of the day, like, you had to get out. You had to get out in order to have, you know, create this family that you have.
Yeah.
You know, those 3 beautiful kids, those your amazing wife, you know, and then progress it into this.
Yeah.
You started from the same office as me. Remember, we were sharing an office.
Yeah.
Partners on Instagram.
Yeah.
But we both had the same office, that little small office. Look what we're progressing this to.
Yeah.
And the thing is that, you know, it's from just that what you want and where you want to be. And it's not to take away from anybody who's in the industry. I don't want to be like I'm chirping anybody in the industry, because, you know, what they still do is what they still do, and that works for them. And, you know, like, look at a guy, and some people could do both. Like, look at Vito Tomasicchio, like, owner of Saluna, owner of Noto, owner of all these places. He does that while still having a wife, having a kid.
Yeah, crazy.
And,
he's
know,
an anomaly,
and
though,
he-
that
and
guy.
He's not a dirtbag. He's not an asshole. He's an amazing human being. And these are top venues.
Yeah,
doing very well.
Yeah.
And he still maintains that family aspect.
Yeah.
So it's not that it's impossible. It's possible, but it's just you have to do what you need to do, and it's your journey that gets there.
Yeah.
And how you go through with it. But for me, and I'm sure for you as well, we just got screwed over too many times by the same bullshit that it just ate us alive.
Yeah.
And it ate me alive, because everybody who I worked with was my best friend. Everybody that I worked with, I would give the last dollar in my bank.
Yeah.
And me and you have learned now that, okay, now that we work with different people, and everybody that you have here at Spark, I know they're family to you, but they're not indispensable.
Right.
I'm the same way now, man.
Right.
Like, yeah,
Right.
we're friends, and I love you, and I'm going to have your back, but there's a separation.
Yeah. Big.
We didn't have that back in the day.
No.
You know what I mean?
No, we didn't.
You know, all the guys that worked for me, like, these guys were always at my house, sleeping over, this, that, this. Same thing with you, this, that, this. Now it's that separation. So
Yeah.
now we can detach ourselves a little bit more.
Yeah.
I think that was one of the biggest things that we learned, right?
Huge. Yeah, you keep business and friends and family
it is,
separate,
man.
right? Yeah. I cringe when friends or family will be like, "Hey man, like are you hiring at Spark?" It's like even if there's 5 positions
Yes.
right now, man,
I don't want to.
it's not a good fucking
I don't want
idea,
to.
you
It's
know?
not.
Because like, yeah, you can't. If you want to scale, you want to grow, and you want to look at things, you know, and take them really seriously and detach yourself from relationships and personal relationships
100%.
for that matter, it's the way to go all day. But yeah, that's awesome, man. Very cool talk, bro.
Bro, it's
Very cool
something
talk.
else, man.
Yeah.
No, man, it's
Proud of you, proud of where you're going, proud of what you built. And, you know, I think that you got such a good spirit about you, and you always put a lot of respect on people's names that you're working with or that you worked with. You have a real special way of, no matter how it ended, you know, on the business side, you show lots of love and lots of respect towards that person. And you're always the bigger man, you know, I notice in a lot of rooms. So good on you. It's not easy to do that either, right?
Bro, listen,
yeah.
man, listen, you gotta be, because at the end of the day, no matter where it is and no matter what happened, there was a time that you guys were working with each other well. And that's the most important thing. And believe it or not, Nick, you know who taught me this? It was you. It was actually you. Because for me, there was a point in my career and a point in my life where it's like, when you did something wrong, you were dead to me. And I was like, done. I don't want to speak to you anymore. And it was you. And I don't know if you remember this, when we had the old office in the Junction.
Yeah, of course.
He sat me down. He said, Mass, just because you're done with this person, squash the beef so you still have a relationship down the line. So that if they're sitting in a room with you, they're going to say good things about you. Because you don't know who they're saying it to. That could be a potential customer, potential client, a potential somebody.
Right.
So that's what you taught me, Nick.
Right.
And, you know, listen, I'm older than you, I get it, but you taught me specific things that helped shape me the same way Ralph did, the same way that Charles did, the same way that all these things did. That was one thing that you sat me down, and, you know what I'm talking about. I had an issue with one person, and you sat me down and said, Mass, just drop it. Because at the end of the day, you don't need to have them in your life anymore. Mm-hmm. But you could be on good terms with them, where when you're in a room or you're in another room, they're still good.
Yeah.
And when I started doing that, even when I've lost clients or lost this or lost that, and I still maintain that good relationship with them, guess what? Either the clients come back, they've introduced me to somebody, or something along the line, something good has happened.
Yeah.
That's something that you taught me.
Yeah. Cool.
So,
I didn't even know that. It's good to good chat. We had a lot of good chats. So some of them are forgettable,
man,
but
we could be here all day.
yeah, no doubt.
We can literally be here all day.
Literally. Guys, you heard it. Mighty Mass, as I like to call him, the hospitality genius, the consultant, my friend, more importantly, and a rock star of a human being all across the board with the biggest heart. Thank you for spending the time with us today, Mass.
Love you, Nicky.
And if you guys like this episode, and it'd be extremely hard for you not to have, subscribe, like. That's how we keep this show rolling, and that's how we know that the content we're putting out, you guys are enjoying. So see you next week, and what would it cost, baby?